Boy and his dogs here, playing Hexcells Infinite. We're going to move on to puzzle 5-6. Okay, we're going to start up at the top left and look at this 5 as well as this column of 1. We know that only 1 can be in this column, therefore we know these 4 will have to be blue for this 5 to work. And since we know one of these will be blue, we can eliminate the rest in this column. Clear out around that 0 real quick. Alright, so if we take a look in this column here, this bracketed 2, we know either these 2 will be blue or these 2 will be blue. Either way, only one of these 2 will be blue for this dash 2. Because of that, that means one of these 2 will have to be blue for that dash 2 to work, which will also solve this one right here. And since this one will be solved, we know neither of these 2 will be blue. And for this bracketed 2, we now know that that one has to be blue since it has to be next to it. And we've solved for this column. We can eliminate the rest of those and then clear out around that 0. We have our 2 there. We can eliminate those. Just taking care of some of these easier moves. Alright, let's go ahead and clear our 1. Alright, so for this 5, we have 1, 2, 3 already selected. We know one of these 2 will be blue for the 4, and we know one of these 2 will be blue for this 2, which will total up to 5. And so we know we can eliminate these outside ones. And since we know only one of these 2 will be blue for this 2 to work, that means this one will have to be blue for this 2 to work. So now we've solved for this outside column. We have our 2. We can eliminate the rest of those, clear out around our 0s. Alright, let's take a look at this column right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and we know that an additional 1 could potentially be in this region for this 3 to work, making it 4. And then we have this 1 here. We know one of these 2 will have to be blue, making it 5. So we can safely eliminate this bottom one right here, and we can then solve for our 2. Alright, let's take a look at our 5 here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we know one of these will be our 5th, and we can get that because we have 3 here. Then we know we have to mark this one as blue, so that's definitely going to be safe. Alright. So we'll kind of backtrack a little bit here. Come back to this column. So now we have 3 out of our 5 selected as blue. And so since we know one of these will be blue and one of these will be blue, that means we can eliminate this one right there. Just going to help us finish off that area. We can deselect our 5 and our 3 as well. And we can kill that one. That one's already there. Alright, so since we know only one of these will be blue for this 3 to work, that means for this 3 to work, this one will have to be blue. So we now have our 3 in this column. We can eliminate that bottom one there. Taking care of some of these easy moves. So to finish solving for this area, we're going to have to wait a little bit later in the puzzle, and the key to that area is going to be this 7 over here that cuts across through that area. In the meantime, we'll deselect our 3 and our 4 there. Let's go ahead and take a look at this column of 3. So we already have 1 out of our 3, and we know one of these 2 will have to be blue for this to work, so that leaves only 1 left in this column. And so if we look down here for these 2s, they already have 1 each. So for those to work with only 1 left, we know the center one will have to be blue. And we can eliminate the outside ones there. And we can also eliminate the one at the top since we know one of these will be blue. Alright, we're going to clear out around our 0. And now we've solved for that column. We'll deselect that. Just going to chip away at some of these easy ones. Alright, so for this one we have our 3 in this row, so we can eliminate the rest here. Go ahead and mark that off. And for this 3 right here, we have 1, 2, only 1 left. That makes that 3. Alright. So we now have 3 in this column already selected, so we can eliminate the last 3. And if we take a look down here, we have 1, 2, only 1 more remaining, so we know that has to be blue for this 3 to work. We'll deselect that one. And we'll go ahead and deselect our 3 up here. Alright, we'll take a look at this 4. We already have our 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can eliminate these 2 out here. Okay, for this one, that will have to be blue. And we know either this one or this one will have to be blue for this 2 to work. Either way, we've solved for this one, so we can eliminate these 2 here. For our -3, we know the outsides have to be blue for that to work. So we'll go ahead and mark those off, solving for our 2. We're just going to chip away at some of these easier ones. Alright, 4, there's only 4 around it. We'll go ahead and mark those off. If you have any questions about some of these easier moves I'm doing very quickly, just leave me a comment. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Let's take a look at this 5 here. So we already have 2 out of our 5. And we know only 1 of these will be blue for this 3 to work. So that would be 3, 4, 5. We know these 2 will be marked blue. And we have our 2 there. So we've now solved for our 5. And let's look at this 3. We have 1, 2, 3. We can eliminate these 3 right here. We'll deselect it and clear out our 0. Alright, let's take a look at this column here. We have 2 out of our 3, and we know one of these 2 will have to be blue for this 2 to work, making that the 3rd, so we can eliminate these 2. And for this 2 to work, we know both of those will be blue. For that 3, we have 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and deselect this 3 since we saw for that column. We have our 2 there. For this 2, there's only 1 that we can select as blue to solve that. Alright, for this -2, we know it can't be this one. We'll kill that one. Which also helps us solve for this bracketed 2 down here. Alright, so for this 2, the only one that can be solved for that is this one. So we now have our 2 there. deselect that. It's already been solved for. Right, let's take a look at the 7 now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so now we've solved for that 3. We can eliminate that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So now we've solved for that area. We'll go ahead and deselect the 7 here. Let's take a look at this 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So one of those will be eliminated. Alright, so for this 2, we have our 2 there. We can eliminate those 2. Now if we take a look at our 4, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. The rest of these will be blue. We solve for this column, we'll deselect it. Alright. So we'll take a look here. We have 1. We know 2 of these in this area will have to be blue for the 3 to work. And if we look at this column, we know those 2 of those will have to be in this column. So we can eliminate these 2. And so since there's going to be 2 in this column, we know they're going to have to be separated for it to work. For both these 2's to work, we can eliminate that last one and deselect the ones we've solved for. Alright, let's go over here and take a look at this 4. We have 1, 2, 3. And we know one of these will have to be blue for this 2 to work, making the 4. So we can eliminate these 2. Alright, so if we look at this column of 3, we already have 2 out of our 3 selected. We know that one of these 2 will have to be blue for this 2 to work. So we can eliminate this one right down here. And so since we know one of these 2 will be blue for this 2, that means one of these 2 will have to be blue to finish off this 2 right here. And if we look at this column, we already have 1. One of these will be blue, making that 2. So we can eliminate these 2 up here. Alright, so for this dash 2, we can solve for that. And for our 3 here, we'll make that blue. We now have our 2 there. Just chip our way inwards, solving for that right hand portion. Go ahead and deselect some of these that we've solved for. Alright, so let's come take a look over here. In this column we have 2 out of our 3. And so if we look up here where that 1 will have to go, we know it's going to have to be at least one of these top 3's that are next to these 2's. Because we can figure that out because the column next to it we have 3 out of our 4, that means only one of these 2 is going to be blue. So in other words, we couldn't solve for this 2 by marking those 2 as blue, and this 2 for marking these 2 as blue. So we know one of these will have to be blue to work with these 2's. Long story short, we can eliminate this bottom one right here. And in this column, we can't make this one blue. If we did, we would be solving for this 2 and this 2, and we couldn't place one in this column. So we know we can eliminate this one as well. Okay, let's take a look at this 2 up here. We have 1 already selected, so we know one of these 3 will be blue. And so let's go ahead and walk through some scenarios. Let's say that we marked this top middle one as blue. That means that we couldn't mark either of these 2 as blue. And marking that as blue, we would solve for this 2, so we'd have to eliminate this one. So for this 2, that means the only one you could select would be this blue right here. So we would solve for that 2 in that way. We would complete this column here. And then this 2 would be solved, so we couldn't mark that as blue. And then we also couldn't mark this top one as blue because we've already selected our 2 in this region here. So we know that this won't work. So we can go ahead and eliminate that one. And now we have our 3 there. We have our 3 there. We already have our 2. We can eliminate that last one. So that's how you get a perfect in 5-6. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave me a comment underneath the video. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it.